Hey, what's up, you guys? So, I have filmed this intro 5 times now, and every time I do something stupid or do not finish talking, so let's just really get into it. I really want to give a huge shout out to Danelle Hallan. She really got me into this case, and I researched after her video. If I look down, I have like pages of like the case because I really want to give you guys the exact details, because this case is really long, has a lot of theories, a lot of details, and a lot of things that if I give you something wrong, you will not see the case as it is. So I really want to get that correct. Anyway, I will link her channel down below and her video so you can check it out. And I'm sorry about the lighting. I have a lamp because it's 5 and it's super dark outside. Like, I cannot have the light that I need for the videos, so I'm using lamp. February 25th of 1957, a boy's body was found near a road in Pennsylvania. He was left at the side of the road near a forest line. The body was suspected to be a 3-year-old to 7-year-old boy. He was wrapped in a blanket and was totally naked under, and was put inside a box for a bassinet from JCPenney. The body was found by a young man. He said that supposedly he was walking and saw him, but then he finally said that he was actually spying on a girl from his school, and that's why he took so long to report it, because he took 24 hours to actually report to the police that he had found this body. Further research, a man came forward and said that he had actually found the body but had not reported to the authorities because he was checking on traps and he quote-unquote didn't want to get involved. And then he didn't want the police to take his traps, so he just didn't report that he found a body. The boy was estimated to weigh 30 pounds and was standing at 3 foot 3 inches, because the young man that actually found the body took 24 hours to actually report it, so the police were notified on February 26th. The cause of death found by medical examiners was head injuries. The boy he was in really bad shape. He was found with bruises. He had cuts in his head. His hair looked like it had just been buzzed off. There was actually strands of hair found inside the box, long blonde hair. You could see his ribs through his skin. He was really malnourished, and he had surgical scars in his groin and ankle, and there was a weird L-shaped scar underneath his shin. It was also found that he was supposed to be 3 years old to 7 years old, but due to his malnourishment, the boy weighed and looked like a 2-year-old, and when they did the autopsy of the body, they saw that he had not been growing like he was supposed to due to the malnourishment. They also found that he had an eye infection, which was suspected to be taken care of before death with a medication, but they couldn't find the exact medication with tests, so there was no result that came out of that. One of the lead investigators was Bill Kelly. He was one of the investigators of this case that actually kept the case open and tried to find a way to find who was responsible for this little boy. They also didn't know what was the actual time of death and when he had died, because due to the fact that in Pennsylvania there's a lot of cold weather, so the body could have been there for a week and there was no way of knowing. His footprints and handprints were taken to see if they can find a hospital record, which they didn't. There were more than 400,000 flyers distributed with his post-mortem pictures, which, again, I will say as a warning, I'm going to be posting post-mortem pictures here. If you are triggered or you just don't want to see them, I suggest you click off the video. But they took post-mortem pictures and put them in flyers and sent them to police stations, TV stations, put up subways and stuff like that to try to find this boy, and they put the flyer all over the city. Nothing came off the 400,000 flyers that they printed, so what they did, they took, which was a little bit creepy, they took the body and They put clothes on it and posed him to be like sitting down like a normal little boy, and they took pictures and tried to put those out to see if anybody knew the boy or could like recognize the boy's little face. They also did drawings with the boy with blonde hair, because on the inside of the box they found long strands of blonde hair. So they kind of did sketches of the boy with short hair, sketches of the boy as a girl with long hair, but nothing really came out of that. They actually had visitors from 10 different states come and check the body and see if they knew who it was, but nothing really came out of all of that. Investigators did this thing where they contact JCPenney and said, hey, we need to know how many people bought this crib. And there were 12 people, and out of those 12 people, 8 contacted the authorities and said, hey, we put the box out for the trash, or hey, I actually still have the box, just to try to clear each people. But there were 4 people that did not come forward, so that was kind of fuzzy, but like they couldn't do anything about that. Another policeman actually tried to follow the lead of checking where the blanket had come from, but it came out that it had come from a place either in Canada, and when they went to check that place, they said that they had made a bunch of blankets and there was no way of knowing. So I had forgotten when I was making the video that there was this thing where they found a hat near the box and the boy when they found the body, and they saw that it was from a company, but they couldn't find anything of it, so nothing really came of it, but I thought that I would mention it since I'm editing, so yeah. So now that I have like mentioned everything, you need to know that there were a bunch of things that the police did not put out there. They had put up that they had found the boy in a box. It was a box for a bassinet. They said they found him naked, wrapped around a blanket, but they did not disclose what he had for dinner that night and what they found in his stomach. He seemed to have had a shower before dying, and that his nails had been recently cut. So now to get into the theories, there was this medical forensic investigator named Bristow. He was one of those people that investigated this case 36 years after. So he kept investigating this case and wasted thousands and thousands of dollars from his own money to try to get this out there and try to get answers for this little boy that nobody knew where he had come from. And he actually contacted a psychic, which told him that there had been a foster home that was made by a woman and a man in a mansion, and that the boy had probably come from there. So he researched and he found this mansion a mile away from where they had found the actual body of the boy. So he went and he talked to people, and they had said that they had been interrogated by the police already. A couple of years later, they were to sell the house, and they had an in-state sale where they had like people come in, and of course Bristow went and he found a bassinet that matched exactly what the box where the boy was found. He also found blankets hanging from outside that matched the blanket that the boy was found in. What Bristow had like theorized was that they had a young daughter. She was like 20, I believe, and in that moment, having kids out of wedlock was like a no-no. Now it's like nobody cares, but like in that moment, having a child out of being wedlock was like frowned upon, and they kind of theorized that maybe she had a kid and they didn't intentionally kill the kid, but he just died, and they didn't want to take it in and be like, hey, this is my daughter's son, because they were, people were going to ask questions, so they just kind of got rid of the body. But that was quickly taken off the table when they did DNA test of the woman, and it did not match the little boy's DNA. After that, there was another theory that was that Kevin Dudley and Irina Dudley had 10 kids, and 7 of those 10 kids died of malnourishment. This theory came out because their 7-year-old daughter died from malnourishment. They wrapped her in a blanket and left her in the woods. So it kind of like fit the description of how they found the little boy. So they were like kind of going at it because, you know, they had 10 kids, 7 died. It's like, but that was quickly discarded from the case. Last theory is my favorite, and this one is a whole page. There's 2 more theories, but one just goes with it. So this theory came because there was a woman named M in 2002 that came forward saying that she knew who the boy was, she knew where he had come from, and that her mom had bought this little boy to be sexually assaulted and physically abused. She said that her mom had bought this boy from their parents, that his name was Jonathan, and that they had bought him in 1954, which would match with him being 3 years old. And basically she said, oh, we were sexually abused by my mother. He was kept in the basement, and that would match up with him having the eye infection, because that eye infection could have been from being in a place that was really dirty, so that would match. She said a bunch of things that explained a lot of things that we couldn't connect, or like the police couldn't connect, and why he had it. So she like said that they had baked beans that day for dinner, and that he had gotten sick and had vomited, and that made her mom very, very angry, and she just went off on the kid, which would explain the head injuries. So basically she said that her mom had hit the boy on the floor and like hit him repeatedly with the floor. Then she like continued to say that after that her mom took the boy and put him in the bathtub and washed him, and during the bath he passed away. That was like the red flag in the story, because yes, the baked beans were something that the police had not thrown out there, and there was no way of her knowing. And the way that nobody knew that he was actually had a bath before he passed away, but the medical examiner said that there was no way he passed away in that bathroom because he didn't die from drowning. Which in this case, I found this kind of stupid, because if he had head injuries and she were to put him in the bathtub, he didn't have to die drowning. He could have just died from the head injury while in the bathtub. But they discarded that when the medical examiner talked about it. And then kept saying that her mom forced her to help her get rid of the body and dispose of the little boy's body. And they just drove to Berry Road, and they were about to dump the body when this man pulled up and asked them if they needed help, if they were okay. And her mom said to stand in front of the license plate so they couldn't get their information, and she did, which this matched up because there was a man that came forward that said they saw someone and they asked if they needed help, but then he went away when they said that they didn't need any help. After that, they saw that there were a lot of connections with the case and what M was saying, so they talked to the neighbors of where M said that they lived, and they said that they never saw a little boy, that M was inventing things, and she had mental problems. But that like kind of got me iffy, because if I were to buy a kid from someone, I wouldn't let him play outside. So the neighbor thing just like kind of didn't count to me, because like if I had a kid living in my basement and he was malnourished because the kid was malnourished, I wouldn't let him play outside with my kid that everybody knew I had. So that was like a no-no, and like people took that very seriously, like, oh, neighbors didn't see the kid, but like that doesn't mean anything. The other theory of that like came into the M theory was that they brought up Jonathan being a girl, and that kind of like connected but didn't to me, because people said that basically it could have been like okay, because that meant that the neighbors saw a little girl playing with M, and then they just thought that she was like a friend of M's and didn't like think twice. But I just think that seeing the girl playing, and then I'll see the postmortem pictures, I would try to recognize her, because they did make drawings with Jonathan, or what we think is Jonathan, little boy, having long hair. But I don't know. They said that maybe the mother brought up Jonathan being a girl because his eyebrows were plucked. His nails were pretty clean, and the surgical scars on the groin, they never explained what he had. They just said that he had a surgical scar. He did had long hair, and M said that it was really blonde, and it was like the most recognizable thing of the boy. So that's when she mentioned that her mom had busted off, so it would be harder to recognize the little boy. After that, in 1989, they exhumed the body and took DNA to put it on record, just in case somewhere in the future they could find something and try to compare it with. And then they buried him, and the person that buried him was the son of the person who buried him in 1957. He donated the place where it was buried, the casket, and the tombstone, which says America's Unknown Child. And that's pretty much what the case is right now. They're trying to find, they have the DNA that they took when they exhumed him in file, and they're trying to find ways. I don't know, I didn't find anything that said that they have found anything, or that they have any idea or have any leads. But it's just sad seeing how a little boy just dies and they throw his body away, and there's no way of knowing what actually happened and where he came from. I guess there was someone that came out and said that they were renting a house, and that they thought the person that they were renting the house sold their kid, which I don't know how believable that is. I mean, there's a lot of people that talk and say they know things, but they don't in the end. So I don't know how believable that is, but yeah. So thank you guys for watching. This is all I have for you right now. If you like videos like this, don't forget to leave a comment saying cases that you might want me to talk about. And hit like, hit subscribe. I don't know what else to tell you. Thank you for watching.